I wanted to share these teachings because they're so profound. A lot of times, so Kundalini Yoga was, when a bunch of those masters came to teach in the United States in like the late 60s and early 70s, Yogi Bhajan was one of them. And he spent a ton of time teaching the women, and he really felt, him and the Dalai Lama and many other masters have prophesied that the change of consciousness on the planet was in the hands of the woman. No big deal. The future of humanity. I mean, obviously though, and specifically the Western woman, anyone who's living in the West, probably, I would speculate that has to do with the freedom that we have where we live here. So that is, there's that. The teaching is that the woman, if you were born into a woman's body, you have 16 times more energy than a man. And I'm using the word energy, but it's 16 times more capacity in every single way. So intelligence, creativity, destruction, construction, like every single facet. So you could see it as a sensitivity. It's the aura is more densely interwoven. You have 16 times more like wielding power than a man does. And because we don't know that, I think we can get a little bit destructive and not even know we're being destructive when we're being destructive, because we just have all this power and we're not knowing how to manage it really. So that is, I just want every woman on the planet to understand this, that you have the 16 times more, and that is a lot. So with that comes this responsibility, and we kind of want to blame everyone else for our problems, but really it is all in the hands of the woman, and it starts in the womb, and it starts in the 9 months you are created. And that's really, in the yogic teachings, all parenting happens in the womb, and then once they're out, you just make sure they don't like fall and die. You just make sure the kid stays alive and is like fed, but the parenting is done in the womb, because the sounds and the way that you live and think about the world is what is creating and programming that creature. So don't worry if you've already reproduced and you're like, oh shit, that poor kid. The other teaching is that the mother's prayer is the most powerful prayer on the planet. And they say even if your mother's cursing you, it's like a prayer. So even if you don't have a good relationship with your mom, like the thought of her thinking of you is a blessing. Isn't that wild? So my teacher used to, she would call her mom, who they really had nothing in common with. Her mom was like, what is your weird life? Like, what are you doing? And she would call her and tell her all her problems and be like, I need you to pray for this, because that's just the teaching. Like, let me just hand this over to you, because that's the power that they have. So everything's kind of created in the structure of the womb, and all of the world leaders that we have that are psychotic, their mothers probably hated themselves. And then that's what they created. And that's just the reality of it, is that there was a lot of animosity that allowed that to happen. And if you're having any issues, again, none of this is like what we want to receive. We want to hear like we can just relax and like everyone's going to take care of it. And then I'm like, plot twist, it's all our fault. We have to figure it out. Or we get to. So the teaching is that this is the highest incarnation you can receive. It's like the most coveted opportunity is to get like a woman's body on planet Earth. Everyone's like waiting in line in the ethers, like, put me in, coach. I don't want to be a caterpillar or a cockroach or a butterfly or a man. Please, like, let me be a woman, because they have the most power. So what happens is this sort of like spell. You go through the birth canal, and then there's just this sort of spell that happens over time where you forget. We just forget our power, and we forget why we came here. And then the yoga is sort of this pulling back the layers of all that we've learned and deconditioning so that you can start to relate to the essence of who you really are, it's what makes yoga different than religions and stuff, is because we're not looking to an external figure to, that's a beautiful experience of, worship and devotion, to look to external figures for insight. But the spiritual path is also one where you are realizing your infinite godlike nature. And especially as the woman, that is you literally create life, whether you want to reproduce or not. You don't have to at all, but you are given that power so that you can create all sorts of worlds, not just children, but you can birth whole new ways of being. And the reason these teachings are important is that we need women to know that they have this power, so we can start to think differently and create society on top of the current society. I'm very much, just because we live in New York City, I'm not trying to escape to the woods, even though I love the fantasy. And then at some point, I'll have 5 houses and one will be like a farm. But I'm not trying to escape. We're trying to create this world like Lower Manhattan, literally down the street from Wall Street. We're trying to create this frequency of feminine confidence and power that can then be taken out into the world, and we can live and work in different ways, and society will respect and respond to that. So as we know, everything here is created in a masculine structure, and it doesn't really serve our system. And then the fight or flight kind of studies, all studies up until recently still are all done on 18-year-old men in science. So everyone's like, well, the science says, it's okay, well, they're all done on 18-year-old men. They're basically another creature. They're so different. Men are so different hormonally in every single way that you shouldn't even every study should explicitly say, well, a study done on just men who are 18. Anyways, fight or flight is this men thing, but this thing that women do is they tend and befriend in times of crisis. So it's very natural and just an invitation for you to find spaces like this and wherever you're called to spend more time with women so that the nervous system can relax and heal. It actually heals quicker when we spend time together in this way. And we have been pinned against each other. You think this is a big conspiracy theory? It's pretty obvious. Everything has been created so that women feel like they need to hate each other and be threatened by each other. And I always know, if I'm about somebody, they're going to be a good friend. If I'm what's her fucking deal? Then I'm oh, we're going to be friends. Because I'm something in me is so you have to look at these parts of you that we need to comb back, because it's just this insecurity that is not yours at all. And it goes down to the politics of the body and the politics of how you look, and all of these psychotic sort of narratives that have been normalized around womanhood. So we will unpack this more at a later date, but I wanted to share with you some of these fundamental teachings that just know 16 times more wielding power is in your hands. And with that, the teaching is that women start and end all relationships, which is really hard pill to swallow, right? But just think about that in the workplace. Think about that with your families. Think about that in every relationship that you are in. You're the one with all the cards. And then the reason that we do the yoga is so that we can re-establish our what we call self-concept, or our confidence in who we are. Because then everyone else around us will change. It's like the saying, when mom's not happy, no one's happy, or whatever. Did you ever grow up and your mom's raging and you're great, we're gonna have a terrible night because mom's mad or whatever. That's the power of the woman's aura. So the other thing is, it's why your boyfriend doesn't have to get into the weird yoga you do. because, I mean, he can if he wants to, but people will literally behave differently in you when your aura changes. And this technology changes your magnetic field. So suddenly the person who's always been annoying at work will be like kind, or it creates a shield so that the bullshit tolerance is just like, people can no longer, they bounce off. It's like, not in my house. Sorry. The ways in which, and they think that everything, the yogic understanding is that everything that's happened to you, you have sort of created, which is just the law of magnetic field. Also not what we want to hear. But if you're in a position where you're like, I'm not really being respected in the way I want to, it's been because you've allowed that. Then at some point you've allowed, and that's like a really humbling, beautiful moment of, oh wait, this is me within me. Okay. And then the rhythmic psyche. I was just looking at what else I want to tell you. There's a rhythmic psyche that the woman has when she's in grace. We like to use the word grace because it's like subtle, but the program that I learned this in, that my teacher taught, was called Immense Grace. It's immense, but it's graceful, it's subtle. That's the power of the woman, is that like you can get so much done in what we call your subtle body. So you can get things done etherically, you can get things done just by like turning your head slightly. It's really like an immense power. You don't have to go out and hustle and hassle in a way that a man might be more designed to do. You can get plenty of things done, but the grace of the aura will get a ton of things done for you. Okay. And it's actually considered harmful for women to be ungraceful, which, I love being ungraceful, so that was hard for me. But basically, like, they would say, like, okay, go have this, like, some guys being an asshole, you'd, like, have a man friend of yours go cuss him out. Because for you to cuss him out, it just, like, it harms you slightly. Like, there's an immense power, and with that power is that there's immense sensitivity. You know what I mean? Like, you being harsh and gross and, like, lower chakra, it doesn't build your strength as a woman. And really, this is a royal lineage, just as a yogic saint lineage. And so through these practices, the aura will change. And they were originally just taught to like adept yogis who, starve themselves for like half a year in one posture to get one kriya, or royal bloodlines, and never taught to women that I'm aware of. Rarely. I mean, there's the Isis mystery school, and I feel like Cleopatra probably did some Kundalini yoga. But for the most part, it was like you had to be top at the top to receive any of these teachings, because they will give you this radiant shield, which it's this perception of royalty. And the kids will note that, everyone will notice it, but the kids, I'm hanging out with some kids lately, and they know how to, they like just say it, they're like, where's the princess? Or the other one was like, she's not from this planet. I was like, okay, all right, outed. So funny. So just change the aura, and then everyone will relate to you totally differently. Does anyone have any questions about this predicament of our responsibility on Earth? So it should be massively inspiring that no matter what position you are in chronologically in your life, this will always be your power. And man exploits woman, but woman gave birth to man. So how did that happen? Well, she let it happen. And we'll chant this mantra now that it says, like, when the women in India remembered it, it was the land of milk and honey, and then they forgot it, and things got a little wild. So this is it predates Kundalini. The mantra is thousands of years old. They say that the woman would stand on top of the mountain in these tribes and like hold this posture, and everyone would just meditate on her image and chant for days. Because we're just an archetype. So there's a whole mythos around you which you can create, which can serve whatever narrative you want. And the mythos is not like the Kim Kardashian leggings and the latest liposuction. I know I love Skims actually, but you know, like it's just a wild twist of how things have gone, and it has nothing to do with who you are. I saw someone say you can tell like where somebody is from, like everyone's dressed based on like zip codes in New York, right? That's just it's a sure sign of you not having a relationship with yourself. I mean, whatever, fashion doesn't really matter. I love it, but people don't, the point is originality should be seeping from you in every sense. And that will be a beacon of hope for everyone you encounter, like a huge life-changing experience of whatever you touch is the original you, and you uncompromised, unapologetic from this place of grace and power. And it's not something we can intellectualize, which is why we're going to stop talking. It's something you just have to experience. And that's why I personally love Kundalini Yoga, is because it just works. And so whatever has happened, I'm just trying to find this. Whatever has happened to your life up till this point is a gift and holds codes for how you can serve humanity best, because you now have life experience, which is the greatest possible gift. So that in you is a code of, somebody's overcome something, and now you can share that with others. Cool.